Welcome to an interview with Dr. Paul Ekman on anger management. I'm Newton Hightower. I'm the founder and director of the Center for Anger Resolution in Houston, Texas. And this is the pinnacle of my 40-year career as a counselor and licensed therapist, is having this conversation with Dr. Ekman, because he is the leading scientist in the world on emotions. One of Time magazine's top 100 most influential people in the world, and co-author with the Dalai Lama of emotional awareness. So thanks for agreeing to do this.
It's a pleasure. I admired your work. You're dealing with a tough problem.
Yes. Well, to start, I would like to ask you, given your wide range of things that you have explored over the years, if you could start your career again and carry along what you know now, what question would most magnetize your interest?
A much larger question is, we know that that everyone gets angry. I don't think you'd have to have some kind of abnormal state to never get angry.
Right.
Not everybody has rage.
Right.
So people differ in the range and strength of their anger response.
Right.
What my research has shown is that that's paralleled by the strength of the fear response. So if you have a big anger response,
Wow.
you'll have a big fear response.
Wow.
You'll have a big disgust response. But it won't be related to your enjoyment response. Now look at our president. Whether you like him or not, if you watch him on television, he has quite a small anger response. When the president was called a liar during his State of the Union address a year ago, I watched that very closely, and anger began, and it was over half second.
Wow.
And its intensity was very mild. But look at his enjoyment response. This guy has one of the biggest enjoyment responses, and he goes from 0 to maximum in an instant. And that fits my research findings, that anger, fear, and disgust are quite independent, not of each other, but of enjoyment. So you can have a very big enjoyment response, a very fast one, and have a slow and not intense, and vice versa.
Right.
So where does this originate from? This difference in strength and speed of response. The only way we could get an answer is if we did the developmental research and looked from infancy onward. When does it become established? Is it apparent in childhood? Is it modified by the hormonal changes in adolescence? What determines it? I don't know the answer. I'd love to know the answer. Second question is, while everyone gets angry and everyone gets afraid, and many of us get afraid of our anger, and angry when we get afraid at whatever made us afraid, not everybody has a hostile personality. Now, I define a hostile personality as someone who gets angry more often than most people do.
Right.
And he's known, or she is known by others because of their anger. Oh, Jim, boy, he's got a temper. Okay? It's their hallmark. Now, hostile personalities are no fun to live with or work with, but they're not necessarily people who have an anger management problem.
That's right.
So what makes for that? What's the determinant of someone who will have an anger management problem and who will subsequently regret what they said and did, who may get violent verbally or even physically. Now, I grew up with such a parent.
Yes, I read about that.
And it's been, when I was a child, I rely now on the reports of my aunt and uncle. My uncle's still alive, my aunt just died. They knew me. I was a very non-aggressive kid. My older sister used to beat me up all the time. I have scars in my eyebrows and in my head from when she hit me with telephones and things like that. And my parents used to say, "Paul, fight back. You're as big as she is now." But I wasn't a fighter. So what turned me for a long period of time into a fighter, into someone who struggled with anger management? I believe that it was the hatred that developed. Now, hatred is a second cousin of anger. It's not anger.
You're right, right.
It's a transformation. It's an enduring state. It's a preoccupation. The Buddhists would say it's a poison. And I like that idea because I've come to believe that if you maintain hatred, it is corrosive and will turn you into a hostile personality if you weren't one before. Is that so for all hostile personalities? I don't know. It's so at least for some. And so it takes getting over that hatred, if you can, to go back to a more normal set of emotion dispositions. Just like when you're in an irritable mood, you're not fit for human company. I mean, you're going to get angry about things that you would ordinarily not get angry about when you are not in an irritable mood. And your anger is going to be stronger, and it's going to be harder to control, and it's going to last longer. Those are all the marks of irritability. What makes somebody irritable when they wake up in the morning? We don't know.
Right, right.
We know what triggers anger, but we don't know what triggers any of the moods.
Right.
And I'm maintaining these days, I don't think I know anyone who agrees with me, but that moods are totally dysfunctional.
Yes.
They have no, they're maladaptive. They can't be a product of natural selection. They're a byproduct of something else that left us. If I could get rid of all moods, I would do so.
Right.
Because I don't want to be in an apprehensive mood, I don't want to be in a blue mood.
And
I would
mood,
even euphoria distorts my view of the world.
Yes, I remember you saying that on the tape I heard of the book. And it has helped me because I've gotten euphoric and I wanted to continue it.
But it's a distortion.
I said, wait a minute, let's come back down to some balanced mood here. And you don't want to get off and just run off into euphoria.
And miss a lot of the calls for help that are there, a lot of the suffering that's there. Euphoric people are not given too much compassion.
That's interesting. I never thought of that.
So all of these moods are distortions, but we don't know what triggers them. For most of us, they come and go. For a hostile personality trait, that person is very similar to someone who's in an irritable mood all the time. Is that the best way to characterize them? I don't really know, and it would have to do the work on brain chemistry and brain circuitry to see, is that what's really occurring? That they are, if you like, trapped in an irritable mood, they can't get out of it. Is it so that it is hatred that generates it? I don't know the answer to that. I'd like to know the answer to that. I hope somebody who watches this is going to say, I'm going to get the answer to that. Because I think these are answerable questions. I think we have the tools. I think we have the conceptual possibilities of at least opening the question for examination. And if psychologists would stop simply asking people, not that what people say is unimportant, but look at what people do. Mm-hmm. And look at what people do in important relationships. Mm-hmm.